Hi, I'm Billy Keels, the host of the Going Long podcast. Every week, I'm going to be here interviewing the absolute best in the business as it relates to real asset investing, as well as real Main Street investors. We're going to be having conversations where you can listen in, and that's going to help you to continue on your path to education so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in investing long distance. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're liking it as well, because that way you can get every single episode as soon as it comes out. And by the way, don't forget to leave today's episode a 5-star review. Let's go ahead and listen to today's conversation. Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to help you with tips and strategies that are going to help you on feeling much more comfortable as well as confident so that you can feel more in control of investing beyond your backyard. I'm your host, Billy Keels. And you know what? If you wanted to understand what it was like to go coast to coast in the United States and along the way, being able to help to educate women and men all across the globe about the benefits that real estate or real assets can bring them, then guess what? You're going to really, really love today's episode, because today's guest is not only an expert and an educator and an advocate for women real estate investors, she's also on a mission to go out and help 1 million, yes, I did say 1 million women to create financial freedom through real estate. She's also an investor herself. She's a syndicator. She's a developer. She has her Juris Doctorate. That's a JD. That means she's a lawyer, an attorney from Columbia Law School in New York. And she's also a best-selling author of the R.E.I, the Real Estate Investing Goddesses Handbook. And hang on a second. She has invested in over 1,300 units. She may even want to have to correct me because I think that number's gone up across 6 states. And she's the founder of the R.E.I Goddesses podcast and the founder of Vineyard Investment Partners. Welcome to the show, Monick Halm. Monick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
This is really a lot of fun for me, having met you and stayed in touch with you, and really looking forward to a lot of value being added in today's episode. So, but Monick, we like to get started and ask kind of the same 2 questions of everybody. And you know, I live here in Barcelona, and so would love for you to help us understand, where do you live, or where are you located today?
I live in Los Angeles, California. So West Coast, Hollywood.
All right, on the left coast of the United States. Awesome. Okay, perfect. And then what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
I think, so when we're filming this, it was Father's Day yesterday, and I had over my dad, my parents, but my dad, my husband, it's the dad of my 3 kids, my brother, and my husband's ex-wife's, husband is the stepdad of my kids, of my stepkids. And we had this great Father's Day brunch. So that was the best thing that happened.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Love that. So nice. It sounds like it was a small lunch then.
There were 20 of us.
Wow. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that it was something that's positive that's happened to you in the last 24 hours. Monick, I've mentioned a number of things in the beginning just to talk about you, but I would love for you to help our Going Long audience understand more about who you are and kind of some of the things that you've done in your journey as you are on a journey to impact over 1 million women's lives as it relates to investing in real estate. So talk to us a little bit about your backstory, please.
Sure. So I did not start my career doing that at all. As you mentioned, I went to law school. Growing up, my parents always taught me, you can be anything you want, but in parentheses, as long as you're a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. So for them, that was success. That's all they knew. And so of those options, I chose law, which I really did not enjoy, but that's a whole other conversation. All I had learned was that about real estate was you should buy your own home. And so I went to get a house after I'd been working for a few years as a lawyer. And Los Angeles is a very expensive market. So even though I was making 6 figures as an attorney, it was still a typical house, not like a mansion, but just like a regular house in a regular neighborhood where you're not going to have drive-by shootings was like upwards of $700,000, $700,000, which was too much for me to do by myself. And so a friend of mine who was in a similar situation suggested that we get a duplex together. The original idea was that we'd each have we'd get two identical units, each take a side. And we ended up finding this one property that we both fell in love with that had one larger unit, a 2-bedroom upstairs, a converted garage. There was a 1-bedroom in the back. And we bought that place. We each took a bedroom in the larger unit. We rented out the upstairs, we rented out the back house, we even rented out our basement. And we were house hacking before I knew that was a thing. I was like, great, these people are paying our mortgage. And this is awesome. And then when I met my husband, he had a duplex and we got a single family together. And after the crash, like 2008, the last crash, which was a really hard time. So I had actually gotten fired unexpectedly right before that. I was pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant when I got fired. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to look for a job right now because I was so pregnant. I'll wait until after I give birth. I have a short maternity period, and then I'll look for a job. And then a month after my daughter was born, the markets were like crashing and my husband's business income dropped 90%. It was really hard. But our real estate kept a roof over our heads. And we ended up selling one of them, I think in 2010. And then we started to flip houses when houses were on sale. And then we did that for a while until houses were not so on sale. And it was very competitive. And we were looking for a fourplex or something in LA, but nothing cash flows here. There's we were talking briefly and you were talking about like negative people, people who have negative they have real estate that just doesn't make any money, but they're hoping they'll sell it. And that was not what we were wanting to do. And at that time I ended up meeting the man who would become my mentor, is one of your mentors, Robert Helms. So I met him through a mutual friend, Kyle Wilson, who I was talking to Kyle saying that he was just like, it's really tough because the flipping is really challenging and the fourplex. And he said, oh, you should meet my friend Robert Helms, who's coming to LA tomorrow night. So I went out and I met him, and in a 10-minute conversation, he changed everything for me. So he was just asking me, and I was telling him about the flipping and looking for the fourplex. And he said two things that were complete paradigm shifts for me and game changers. First thing he said was, because I was telling him about like how hard it was in LA to find a fourplex that made sense. And I was like it was going to cost me upwards of $2 million, would make no money. And he said, LA is a tough market. I always say, live where you want to live, invest where the numbers make sense. Oh, yeah. And you're nodding, and it does make sense when you hear it, but I hadn't thought of that. I'd always thought you had to invest where you live, where you can drive to your property, touch it, self-manage it. Like it had not occurred to me. And so when he said that literally opened up the world to me. And the next thing he said was, oh, and you can buy that fourplex by yourself, but you're limited to your own capital and credit. He said, alternatively, you could bring a group of investors together and you could buy a 100 or 200 unit apartment building. Like mine was blown. I could not. I was like, what? That was a thing?
Right. Hang on a second. Stop. Let's see. Say it again.
I was like, I want to do that. I was so excited. I told him I was like, oh my God, I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to be your groupie. And he laughed. He thought I was kidding. Not
You're
kidding.
Like, no, seriously. You're like,
traveled around the world following that man. But so anyway, I went home that night. I told my husband, like, there's this thing. It's called syndication. You bring groups of investors together. We got to learn this. And so we signed up. This was in October 2015. I met him. And so we signed up to do Secrets of Successful Syndication seminar, which was in January of 2016. And that was our first seminar. And I met you at one of those, I think, a couple of years later. But that first year, just by using those principles that we were taught there, we went from having 2 rental doors to over 1,000 in 1 year.
hang on a second. So I just want to, because I know people are running on treadmills or whatever, listening stuff, but you did just say from 2 to over 1,000, right? With any
1,012 to be exact.
1,012. It,
Hmm.
what role did focus have to do with that exponential growth?
It had so much to do with it. I mean, we came home fired up, my husband and I, and we signed up for the I guess now what would be called the Real Estate Guys Inner Circle, and then they only had one Asian Mentoring Club, and it's like we are all in. We were both completely in. We created we did just like set our goals, the business plan, and then we were just like both completely focused on doing that. And that it just like the right people came into our lives and things just happened. So we, and part of those were passive investments that we did, but we did 3 syndications that year. And we did a mobile home park and 2 apartment buildings.
Wow. Okay. So,
yeah.
So that's fantastic. And one of the things that we didn't mention in the beginning, or I didn't mention in the beginning, I mean, you invest in multiple asset classes. So you're talking about the mobile home parks, RV parks. You're talking about the apartment complexes, storage facilities as well. I believe.
I don't have a storage facility, but we do industrial.
Not yet. Industrial. Okay. All right. Perfect. So as you look at these different types of I guess asset classes within real estate, I'm just curious, what are the things that you are looking for or that you looked for as a passive investor so that you knew that this was the right type of opportunity for you and in your context at that moment in life?
Yeah. So what do I look for as a passive investor or for? Yeah.
Well, we're going to go to the other one, but I'm just curious because there are a lot of people here that are listening and they're still kind of confused. Like what should you be looking for? And you've already.
Yeah. And this is the same advice I give to my passive investors too. So the main thing is what are your goals, right? So what do you want the investment to do for you? Because there are different things that different investments will do. So if it's cash flow that you're after, that's one thing. If it's tax benefits, that's another thing. If it is long-term growth, so let's say for somebody who's using retirement account or retirement funds to invest, where they don't need that money for 20, 30 years. They don't care about the cash flow. It doesn't matter. They're just looking at the total returns, legacy, what is the feel good benefits of an investment. So you really want to look at your why. So for us, cash flow was the main thing. And we also cash flow, and to a lesser extent, but also important, were tax benefits. So that's what we were looking for. And so the deals that we invested in had to cash flow from day one. That was what we were looking for. And that's what made sense for us. But, they're like, for somebody who doesn't need that, they might do a development project that may not cash flow for 2 or 3 years or 4 years or something. And that's okay. They're looking more at the long term,
So in that, Monick, that's very extremely helpful because it just demonstrates once again that when you are working with someone or you are entering into someone's world, the fact that you were thinking about those things and you're asking of your community to really think about those things. It's not really just about making a return. It's why do you want that return?
And how do you want it?
Exactly. That's exactly it. And so it's the fact that real estate can provide the return, that type of return, in so many different ways. It was one of the other reasons that I think we both love this asset, right?
There's so many benefits. The other thing that I look for, and this was something I'd been particularly focused on the past couple years, but even more now, was just how is this particular opportunity going to run in any type of economic market? So I was not expecting the economy to do what it has done exactly like right now. This has been very extreme. I was not expecting a complete global shutdown, economic shutdown.
Monick, I was going to say, if you would have foreseen this, we need to hang out more frequently. I think this caught us all off guard.
I was expecting a recession. We were overdue for that in the US. So I knew that was coming. I didn't realize it would come like this. I don't think anybody did, but I knew it was coming. And so I look for investments that are recession resistant. They do well in a good market. They do well in a down market. So that's where my focus is as well, to minimize risk for myself and my investors. And, and with recession resistant, there are a lot of different parts that go to that, including what the market is like, how resilient is the market, what does the asset class do in good and bad times, the tenant base, that kind of thing. So those are the two main things I look for as a passive and for my passives.
Okay. So in having done both, right, starting on the passive side and now being a general partner, and these are some of the new terms that we are helping our audience to understand, or a key partner, it gives you a unique perspective to really understand both sides of the coin.
Yes.
Which I think is great. Monick, I want to spend some time talking about something that is really, or one of the areas, right? Because you have a lot of things that you're very passionate about. But I mentioned in the beginning that you really, as an educator and an advocate for women in the real estate investing game, I want you to help us understand, because you could have chosen any path really in real estate. And what was the inspiration for you really saying, okay, I want to go down this path and really positively affect these people's lives?
Yeah, there are a few things. So it kind of came as a divine download to me after that first syndication seminar. So I was in there, and I remember hearing Russell Gray as one of the presenters. He's talking about, if you're going to syndicate, build your brand, build your network. Think about, who do you want to work with? Build your brand, build your network. Who do you want to work with? And they always do their seminars on a Friday, Saturday. So it's Sunday morning, and I'm at the hotel gym, and I'm on the elliptical, and I'm just processing the weekend. And it just was like, kind of came. It's like women. I was thinking back, and I was looking at that room in my head, and it was at that time a little small. There were 120 people in the room. Maybe 8 were women. There were just no women in the room, far less than 10%. And between doing, being a lawyer, and so while I was flipping and doing all this other stuff, I started coaching women, and I was coaching women in the area of abundance, around money. I was a money coach, money master coach. And so it came, and it all like I could hear the angels singing. I was like, oh, this is what you're meant to do. Not the how of it. I had no idea the how, but this mission to help women, and what that's about for me, because I truly believe that when women have more money and time, which is what financial freedom gives you, they give back. They give back to their families, they give back to their communities, they give back to the world. There's all sorts of studies that show you, you give microloans to women and communities, they completely transform a community. Unfortunately, it's not the same when they just give it to men. So I was like, this is my way of helping the whole world, because I know if I empower a woman, she's going to empower her children, she's going to empower her men, she's going to empower everyone around her. Yeah. And this is my shortcut to helping women change the world, because when they have more, then they'll use the gifts that they were born to give. So
you're working on collapsing global timeframes. I love that.
That's what I'm hoping to do. Anyway, that's what I've been guided to do. That was the mission that came, and okay. So that's what I'm working towards.
So how, I guess, I don't want to make it too obvious a question, but how important do you think it is? Because I'm just thinking, you're sitting in the room and there are 8 women out of 120, right? Mm-hmm. The importance of being able to say, look, there is someone in the room that looks like me, understands me, just the level of importance that you believe that, how important that is?
I think it's very important that there's representation, right? So when I have my events, it's all women on stage, which is very different. Almost the time it's no women on stage, maybe one. We're lucky, and I try to have different ages, races, just a lot of it's a big variety of women. So anybody in the audience can go, she can do it, I can do it, right? Like, whatever excuse, because there's so many excuses that we have in our heads about why it won't work for us. Yeah, it can work for that guy, but that's not like me. And it's like, yeah, look, then she's doing it, so you can do it too. Which I know that you, Billy, probably are inspiring a lot of people who couldn't imagine, whether they're Black or they're living in a different country and wanting to invest in the U.S. They couldn't imagine it's possible, but then you're showing them that it's possible, and that's what representation does.
Yeah, and I'm a believer in that as well. And it's almost like when you said that, I'm thinking, you're really got started with your group. And I'd just be interested in kind of the growth that's happened because I remember when you and I met, you were just getting started. And I know that you're now, your goal, your vision, your why is now to go out and positively impact 1 million women. I mean, that's phenomenal. It makes me think of Jim Ryan, right? I used to run track and field in high school, and until he broke the 4-minute mile, nobody thought it was possible. And then he did it, and all of a sudden, there were 5, 6, 7. I looked it up not too long ago, and I don't know how many hundreds of people have already broken the 4-minute mile, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a very similar kind of concept. When you see that it's possible, then the floodgates open.
Yes.
How do you manage that growth? Because you are positively affecting so many women's lives.
Well, I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm still
You're on the journey.
I'm getting into the tens of thousands right now.
Awesome.
Still have some zeros to get to. But what my focus is how do I scale, right? And empower others to help, because I know I can't do it alone. I'm not meant to do this alone. So in my events, my Wealth to Real Estate event, we have this mantra. It's like, I'm here to be financially free, to bring others along with me. So we're all saying that because I know it's like, I can help you who's in front of me, and then you're going to reach back and you're going to help somebody else. And that's how we're doing. But also bring a team, and then creating a program and process that's very scalable, so that I can have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people like learning together, working together, supporting one another, so that this, it's a movement that grows. So that's what I'm constantly thinking about. Like, how do I scale this? Like, how do I get this to the next level and make it work so that I can actually touch 1 million?
And it's an positively interesting point that you're already thinking about, who else can help you, because you recognize in order to do that, you do need to be able to build team. Right now, you're talking about being able to affect millions of lives. At the same time, you went through a similar process when you were building your teams to go over 1,300 units or thousands of units. And so the process you've been through before, it's now just how do you change the process to scale in a different way, which is another unique value that you and your community are able to bring. So I'm sure that the 1 million will happen much sooner. I do want to, just because I know we wish we could talk forever and ever, but you mentioned your event, and I know you're going to be doing something a bit different this year.
Yes.
So maybe you could talk to us about your event and talk to us what the goal is for the event.
Sure. So I have a Wealth to Real Estate event happening in September. It was going to be live in April, and then we pushed it to live in September. Now it's going to be virtual in September because of all of the all of the things that's been going on in the world, but it's still this really special 3-day event. It's all women. I bring together just incredible women that are crushing it in real estate right now, different asset classes, different team members. And we go through what I call the wealthy formula. So each letter stands for a thing, but it's like, how do you successfully invest in real estate as a woman? That's foundational principles for building wealth. And I make a promise at the beginning of the event. I promise that at the end of this weekend, you're going to know more about real estate investing than 90% of other people in the world. And it's true. And the other thing is so last time we had 180 women that were there. And I said, I promise that at the end, you're going to feel like you have 179 new sisters.
Phenomenal.
And so that's still my goal, to make it feel that way, even virtually, where there's that sisterhood is formed. So
Phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And Monick, I am sure that you will exceed expectations, impact positively so many more women's lives, and helping them to understand and also accelerate where they are on their path to achieving. So I want to keep talking to you forever, but like I said, everybody wants us to get to like a certain part of the show, which is actually the going long final 3. So, and I only ask the questions if you tell me that you're ready for me to ask you the questions.
I am ready.
So are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, awesome. So here we go. The first question is, Monick, and I know you've traveled all over the world. So what is your favorite European city, either that you visited or you have on your bucket list?
Oh, that's hard because I love so many cities in Europe. But I'm going to say right now, my favorite is Gibraltar.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's kind of this like crazy. It's like right next to where my parents were. They retired to Spain actually, and they were right next to it. And I just enjoy this quirky little place. So
yeah, it's a well, there's a lot going on all the time in near Gibraltar. So Gibraltar it is. Appreciate that. And we'll have to talk more about, we'll have to talk more about your parents being over here. So you and your family come over here, we can catch up or something like that would be cool. You probably made 1 or 2 mistakes along the way, because the successful people that I've been speaking to and studying always do. If you have, well, you're probably in that category. What is the one lesson that you would share for someone that is also on the path to becoming?
Yeah, one lesson I would share is it's a team sport. So it's all about the people that you are working with, and really having this one mentor taught me, like, work with the best. They won't cost you money, they'll make you money. And so always look to work with the best people you can, the ones that are the best at what they do, but also ones that are really good character and quality, like just high integrity people. So that's the mistakes I've made have often been about having the wrong team members.
I seem to hear that over and over and over again, but no, that makes a lot of sense. So make sure you're with the high performing team and the right members on your team. So, and Monick, you've talked about, I mentioned that you're already a best-selling author multiple times over. I'm curious what book you would recommend to our audience.
Yeah. So my favorite book is a strange little book written in the 1920s by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it's a short book, but it's like almost every sentence has a nugget of gold in it. It's so good. So.
Okay. Awesome. The Game of Life and How to Play It. So that's a good one. We'll make sure that all of those are in the show notes as well. Monick, you've shared so much goodness, so much value you've added here in helping us to understand, no matter where you are, your path, you can find your passion. You can go out and positively affect millions of lives around the globe. You're on the path to doing that right now. I want to keep talking to you forever, but I know that I can't. But there are lots and lots of other people that also want to figure out, like, how can I get in touch with Monick? How can I enter into her world? I want to find out more about what she's doing and her tribe are doing. Can you please help us understand, Monick, what is the best way for someone to contact you and your tribe?
The best way is to find us at reigoddesses.com, or you can find us at REI Goddesses all over social. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. REIgoddesses.com is where everything is located.
REIgoddesses.com. And yes, Monick makes it super, 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 super simple to find her in her tribe. So, Monick, thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing your expertise, your insight with the Going Long audience, and really hope to be able to have you back as a guest in the future.
Thanks for having me. This is a pleasure.
All right. Awesome. So once again, to the Going Long audience, as we're getting started, we're continuing to build momentum, having amazing, amazing guests like Monick Halm today. Would ask you that you go out and share, at least invite or share this with 2 or 3 other people. We want to continue to build with like-minded people, attracting also fantastic guests. And also, we'd love to hear your review on the conversation. What are the things that worked really well for you? What would you also like to hear? And the 5-star reviews, the written reviews especially, are helpful. And you know what? I am really looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next episode. So until then, go out and make it a great day. Wow, don't you love hearing from top-notch experts in the field? You know, when I was getting started, I really wish that I would have had access to such experts. And even more, I wish they would have given me like a really simple list of things to follow so that I could have gotten to my goals much faster and been much happier even sooner. So that's why I've created for you the 7 things that you should avoid in order to be successful in long-distance investing. And you can pick that up really easily by going to billykeels.com/7 things to avoid. And also, if you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our very next episode, so go out and make it a great day.